It's time for the Hab-Normals podcast. All Habs, all the time. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Hab-Normals, number 18. We got a little interference there. Welcome to our second only video podcast. This is going to be a regular thing now. Title is called Rocket Reinbacher. So you might be wondering what that means. David Reinbacher has been assigned to Laval Rocket. We are going to talk about that.
He's back.
He's Bacher. We're also, I don't know if you're like me, but are you tired of the refs? Because I am. And the call on Yoel Armia with less than
27
a minute to go in the third period of a game that was going overtime. A bullshit high sticking call. We'll talk about that. I'm kind of fed up. Up to here. I'm done with the refs. There's no doubt in my mind what's going on there. We're going to talk about that. And then on a much sadder note, we're going to talk about Chris Simon, who died this week, and Konstantin Koltsov, also on the same day, as a matter of fact. And we'll talk about it a bit and try to figure out what happened there, because I'm sure a lot of people are curious about that. As a matter of fact, before we started to film this, we were talking about it, and I learned a little bit about what was going on myself. So hopefully we'll inform you guys about what's going on, because I don't know if there's news out there about what it is, and we'll just try to break it down and discuss it, because I think it's really important. At least for, tell you the truth, for both, in different circumstances, probably different reasons, but there's a kind of an underlying reason why that might have happened with both these guys. That it could be, that's kind of a problem, I think, in the league. Not like I don't know where I'm going with that, but it's not like it's a prevalent, maybe that's the word, but it is there, and we should talk about it anyway. I think that's all we're going to tackle on this, and let's start off, and I'm going to just try to stop babbling for you guys, but let's start off with David Reinbacher. So the news was that David Reinbacher got called. Well, I'll start with this. He was on a really shitty team over there, Clawton, and he hadn't been playing for a couple of weeks because they were done, but had to stay there because of the way they do the relegation. And he had to see there was a possibility he would have to play as many as 14 games still. So I think it was like 3 weeks he was waiting. But the one thing that would have changed that happened. And a team, Olton, I think it was called, lost. And that meant that they didn't have to worry about this anymore. So within a day or two, he was assigned to Laval. He's joined them. But because he hasn't played in a few weeks, he's going to practice with them at first. And should be by this weekend. We're filming this on Wednesday. By the weekend, they expect that he should be in games for Laval. So since I just said all kinds of shit about it, who wants to go first on David Reinbacher?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm happy he's here. I'm excited he's here. Really looking forward to see how he plays with Laval. Obviously, Laval's having pretty decent season down there, so he's on a better team, and I'm looking forward to seeing him with the Habs. I think more than likely he's going to get a few games. And
no, can I stop you right there?
Oh,
Kent Hughes has already said that he will not be joining the Habs. He will be staying in Laval.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah,
but again, I'm fine with that. Let him develop in Laval. And like I said, I'm excited to see how he plays with them. Obviously, much better team, and even though he was on a crappy team in Cloton over in Switzerland, his underlying numbers were still very, very good. So I'm expecting him to kind of pop more, I guess, if that's the right word, with Laval. And I think he's gonna obviously have a better D partner in Laval. I don't know who he's going to be paired with.
I don't know either, honestly.
Maybe Logan Mayu. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how the pairs are down there right now. But
Mayu's playing with Trudeau, I think. So okay. I don't know. But They might juggle the lines a little bit.
Yeah.
Since Reinbacher's there, so we don't know.
But I mean, look, either way, I mean, I think overall there should be some excitement, and I think Habs fans should be looking forward to this. Like, I'm looking forward to watching his highlights, and like I said, really seeing how he adjusts to that North American ice, and from there.
Harry.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. I'm happy to see him with the Laval Rocket. Very surprised that Ken Hughes already confirming that he's not playing any games with the Habs. I would have thought he gets 2 to 3 games, but I get that Laval's in a playoff push right now. They need all the guys.
I think I can answer that a little bit. First of all, they want Laval to make the playoffs, so they feel he'll help. Also, one of the reasons why they were going to send Roy down, but he got hurt, but he'll probably go down there. In Montreal, they're not getting any postseason. There's nothing to play for like that. In Laval, there is, and he wants these young guys to get that experience while there's an opportunity.
I think that makes plenty of sense.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's what it is. And if they can help them get to the playoffs, well, then they're going to be playing longer than Montreal probably then as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing I wonder, Mike,
about to change the channel name to Talking Rocket.
Yeah. Harry, I know I interrupted you. Were you done? No, you weren't done. So continue.
I was just gonna say that again. Like, I think it does make sense because the Rocket are in a playoff push. And it also makes sense because David Reinbacher would have a lot of pressure if he were to get even just a brief call up with the Canadians this year. So every little thing he does would be getting criticized. I completely get you have him get used to American ice by playing in Laval for the majority. Well, not the majority. The rest of what remains in the season. I think it makes sense, and I'm gonna say this now. I think he does make the team. I'm gonna say this now. Habs fans, do not panic if David Reinbacher starts the season next year in Laval. I do think he gets Montreal right away, but if he starts in Laval, do not panic. That might actually be the best case scenario to let him develop. We've wanted the team to develop players for the last decade when they've been rushing Charles Hudon and Jacob Delarose.
Yeah.
Don't panic just because our fifth one-rule defenseman isn't in the NHL yet, and we're letting him develop.
Yeah, because at some point he's going to make Montreal. It's going to be how does he do here with the Rocket? If he struggles with the Rocket, still doesn't mean anything because they'll give him stuff to work on in the offseason.
Absolutely.
I mean, the key's going to be how he's going to look in the preseason games next year. Now, one thing that makes me think Reinbacher's going to be just fine is, and I like Craig Button, but maybe sometimes not the best judge of talent and where they're at. And he thinks Reinbacher, who he thinks is going to be a good defenseman and all that stuff, he thinks he's not even close to being ready. That tells me Reinbacher's probably going to play with Montreal to start the season next year.
More than likely, honestly. I do like Button as well. Yeah, but
I like Button.
Okay,
but I mean,
he also said the Canadians can't even win a game against the Leafs in 2021. So, I mean.
And he admits when he's wrong, too. I like that about him, that he'll come out and admit it. But, yeah, I mean, he's made some pretty big mistakes, and I think he's wrong here. I mean, he might not be ready, but to say he's not even close, because kind of in the same breath, he did say he thinks strong possibility he'll break camp with Montreal next year. So how far can you be if you're going to break camp with Montreal next year and we're at the end? So that's why just take that with a grain of salt type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Geez, did we already talk that out? Wow.
I think so. I mean, it's not really much to talk about because he's not going to be getting games with the Canadians. Thank you, Ken.
Since we talked that through pretty quickly, let's do this. What do you guys think about what Laval's chances are now here to make the playoffs? Last I heard, they were 3 points out with 12 games left. I don't know if that's changed.
We'll take a look.
I just lost both of them for like 5 minutes. Watch. No, just joking.
No,
That I'll give mine. I don't follow them close enough to know, so I'm going to give a Habs fans estimate and say I think they can make it, but I don't think it's going to be easy because just like in our league here, we were talking about this in the podcast, Pucking Around podcast, to 3, 4, or 5 points, not the easiest thing to do right at the end of the season to leapfrog over any teams. It's not easy. So I don't know. Every time I try to follow the Rocket, they're losing. So I don't know. I'd like to say that they'll make it, and the players that, because I think Struble is going to go back. Reinbacher is there. They're even saying maybe Jordan Harris.
Yeah, Laval's 3 points out. They're 3 points behind the Marlies.
Yeah, and they had trouble with the Marlies. They haven't been able to beat them lately. No, the Marlies. Last 3 games I saw, Marlies beat them. That I saw the results.
Yeah.
So, not easy. I don't know if they're going to make it. Honestly, that's my thought.
I mean, the biggest caveat for me, and I have the schedule pulled up, they're 3 points back of both the Marlies and the Senators. They play the Senators 6 times in their last, I believe it's 12 games.
Right.
The last 12 games of the year. Those games are going to be massive.
Yeah, those massive. Yeah. Massive. They're going to have to win.
So, yeah, so if they win.
But if they were to win every one of those, they could even jump into third above Rochester even.
Yeah. That's not easy to win every one, but it's the key ones. You sound better. I don't know, but you sound better. You might not be hearing it, but you sound a lot better. I think you're...
Thank you. It's coming out of my phone now, not my AirPods, so I got to try and fix that.
Yeah. It went from tinny to sounds good.
Sorry.
It's weird. Yeah, just like I was saying in the other pod, at this time of year especially, when you're chasing, you got to win when they lose, but also you got to win when they win. And that's what makes it hard, is because you literally got to win all your games, and nobody can do that. So that's what makes it really hard. And then if you're a team, as we had a couple of them we were talking about in the pod, that are already on a considerable winning streak, well, how long can you make that go at this time of year when it's the hardest time of year to do that? So, yeah, so I don't know, 3 points, while not a lot, it could be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, 1,000%.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the good thing is that they play the Senators. They do play the Marlies next. I believe it's next Sunday.
They got
Utica Comets. Absolutely, they need to. The Utica Comets are kind of trashed this season. Springfield, I believe, is Springfield is one of the worst teams in the league. Well, not one of the worst, but they're very 500. Syracuse is all right, and they play the Cleveland Monsters for the other 2 games. They're the top of the North Division. It's a very up and down schedule. I do think that the Rocket do have a chance to make it, especially if they send down Struble to help defensively, and if Wall was able to be sent down and he wasn't injured, I do think that there was going to be a lot more help there. I still think that they do have that chance, though, especially with how good the team has been playing recently, aside from, of course, Justin Barron.
But they've been up and down. I know they've been good, but they've also had games like Marlies. They had 2 weekend games and lost both of them against the Marlies, like last weekend or the weekend before.
Yeah, last weekend, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, that'll kill their chances, so... I'm not surprised that Reinbacher got sent there for multiple reasons, Yeah. I'm sure it's to help them, but I think it makes sense. That's the right place to send them to start.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And as much as we were hoping to see him, and even heard that, yes, he was going to get games, think it makes more sense that he doesn't, and he gets he gets acclimated to the North American ice and the North American feel of being in North America, playing now like on a permanent basis. Get that down in the AHL. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, you know.
And as well, this does make me wonder, with Reinbacher getting sent down and already being confirmed, he's not going to get games in the NHL. I wonder how that affects Logan Mailloux, because we know Lane Hudson can't play in the AHL because he's not on his ELC yet, so he can't go down to Laval. It does make me wonder, like I said, about Logan Mailloux, does he even get games now because the Rocket are trying to press for the playoffs?
I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot because I wanted to bring that up, and so I'm glad you brought it up because it slipped my mind. Yeah, I mean that's a good question. Does Mailloux also not get any games here because of that, or once Reinbacher starts to play there, maybe say he starts and plays the weekend games, they feel comfortable that he's looking okay. Maybe then they say, okay,
too. I think they're both against Belleville.
But I'm just saying, maybe then they could feel comfortable to send Mailloux up for a couple of games.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I kind of doubt it because they're so close. And honestly, they could get into the playoffs. They could claim one of those spots in these next 3 games because I think they got Belleville, and then the Marlies.
Yep.
So I'd say this.
And the last 2 games of the year are against Belleville. So, I mean, that could come down to those 2 games.
Okay, if it doesn't come down to those 2 games, I think once they can clinch a playoff spot, if there's games for him to come up, maybe then they have Mailloux come up then.
It'd be very tight. Sorry, Rick, what were you saying?
Well, say they go on a streak and they win their next 5 games or 4 games, then maybe they feel, okay, we're going to, But, I mean, if you're in a playoff race trying to get in, you don't send your best defenseman pretty much away.
Yeah.
You don't do that. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think there actually is a chance that Reinbacher could get the last 2 games of the year, Logan Mailloux, Lane Hudson. Because the Rocket play on the 11th, the 13th, and then the 19th and the 20th. So they do have the 15th and 16th off when we play the Red Wings on that back-to-back. So I do think there actually is a chance, especially if we have clinched by then, or it's like, okay, yeah, Belleville needs to be able to go, for example, something like that.
But I mean, Hughes has said he's not coming up, Reinbacher.
I think in that scenario, if the Rocket have clinched and it's those last 2 games where it's clear the Rocket are off for a week, I think maybe they could think about, okay, could they call him up for at least one of those 2 games? I think they'll look back at it, but I would be very surprised if at least Mailloux doesn't get called up for those last 2 games.
I could see Mailloux. I could see Mailloux only because Hughes said this. I'm gonna take him at his word, but I think you could be right for Mailloux. That would be a good time to give Logan a couple of games or even one, just to have a look at the NHL level so they can give him an evaluation, because that's what they want to do, is they want to evaluate him at this level and then they know what he needs to work on to make it up here.
I
see
that whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense. But I'm going to take him at his word that it's out there that Reinbacher is not going to suit up for Montreal. Unless there's an injury at that time, and that's what makes sense. Other than that, no, he's not.
I think it would make sense that he's the one that, if there is an injury, I think it would make sense because Mailloux's already going to get that call up regardless, I think. Hudson's going to be there. If Struble gets sent down, you're going to want him in Laval and probably useful as a very reliable defenseman. Reinbacher's that guy where, he's probably not getting hurt. He's 20, 19 years old, whatever. Yeah, give him a call. I think if there's an injury, definitely he gets that call. But I don't think
19. I think Reinbacher is 19 now.
Yeah, I think he turns 20 over the summer. I forget.
No, because Slav is just turning 20 at the end of the month. I don't think Reinbacher. I think Reinbacher just turned 19 very recently. Is what I think.
Actually,
I read it today or yesterday that he is 19. Reading something, isn't he?
He turns 20 at the start of October or at the end of October.
Right. So that's when it was. It was before Christmas. He turned 19.
Right.
Yep.
Right. I mean, October is before December.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying no, but what I had just said. No, I had just said it's recent, but it's longer.
No, I know what you mean. I'm just
Don't
busting
make me look
balls.
like an idiot.
I'm just breaking the ball.
It's okay. 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 So I guess are we going to move on? We want to move on?
Yeah, I think we can. I think we can move on talking about how many people's birthdays are before Christmas.
Yes. We imagine, or at least I do, that if you're listening to this, you watch the games. And we played Edmonton on Tuesday. That was last night. And there was a call very late in the game in a 2-2 tie. A game, it was 27 seconds left, something like that. And it was about to go to overtime. The game in doubt. Montreal, the underdog, and the away team with a really good chance to beat the Edmonton Oilers. And Yoel Armia gets involved in an incident where I don't think it was his fault. He high sticked. Was it Kane? Who got high sticked?
Adam Henrique.
Adam Henrique. And I thought, the replay I saw, looking really quickly at it, okay, it is a high stick. Yeah, it's a legit call. People complaining, no, it's not. It was interfered. He was interfered with. And I didn't see that. I saw it today, and without a doubt, he was interfered with. Was it Kane? Skated in between Armia and Henrique. Armia's stick was up. Wasn't on Henrique, but Kane pushed it into him and then pushed Armia, sort of like pushed, and the stick dragged along Henrique's face. Armia did not do that in any way, shape, or form. The referees reviewed this for a few minutes and came away. And it was 10 seconds?
Yeah, they were huddling and discussing what they saw. They called the foreman a minor, and then they discussed
Then they reviewed it. Then they reviewed it.
No, well, what happened was the refs just saw Henrique down. They gathered, they discussed, hey, what did you see? What did you see? They called the foreman a double minor so they could go to the video review. It took maybe 10, 15 seconds, and then that's when they confirmed it.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't matter. I saw it on a replay for 3 seconds and went, that was a bullshit call. So that still, they reviewed this and they called it as a 4-minute high sticking, which carried into overtime. And like right at the end of it, though, Montreal almost killed it off. The Oilers scored and won the game. Now, for me, this is for me, and everyone knows I'm not very happy with the refs. We're going to talk about this, but for me, no doubt, in my mind, that's to influence the outcome of the game. If they can, like they're trying to do what they can and try to push that game to Edmonton. Why? Gambling. Plain and simple, gambling. And think about it. If the Habs win, anybody who bet the Habs wins a lot of money because they're the underdog. Am I right? And if you bet on Edmonton, their payout is lower. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
So tell me, that's not the reason they do that.
Well, enough people have bet on a rebuilding Canadiens team over a red hot Oilers team.
Yeah, if you're going to win money. Yeah, some people bet because that's a good bet. I'm going to win a lot of money for little.
Like, would it have been enough last night to influence? Hey, we don't want to lose this money. It's like, I don't know. Like you said, I there are some people who bet like that. Hell, I do it when I'm not gambling, but just a little thing we have to guess the scores of, or not guess the scores, but guess who wins each game. I'll bet the underdog sometimes because that's who everybody else is going with. But it's not financially. It doesn't financially make sense for every game to do that if you're betting with real money. I don't think that gambling.
But the pool of gamblers is so vast, it's not always the same people. Yeah, they're getting the bets on the Habs because put $10 down and it's a big payout. Right. On the other side, though, it's you put 10, you get 10. If you're lucky, you get 10 back. And you're 10, right? So their payout, if Oilers win, is smaller than if the Habs win. And that's why they do that. And you can argue it. I think I'm 100% right. That was so blatant with that timing, was so blatant that that convinced me 100% that I'm right.
I mean, I don't know. Keep in mind, it's not like there was a complete phantom call. The stick does get up high, and I'm not saying it's Armia's fault, obviously, because it is Kane who pushes it. There was legitimate concern to call that there was a legitimate reason to call that a 4-minute double minor. There was blood.
To review it, yes. Definite reason to review it, and they did. And that's where it's bullshit.
Again, I don't know, because you can't call Kane on the interference. I'm saying that there should have been the call on Kane.
You don't have to call Kane on the interference, but you don't call Armia either on the high stick.
You have to. I think that because it's a 4-minute double minor, because there is blood, even if the stick does get driven up high, I think you do have to call that. I don't like it. I don't like that the Canadians lost because of it. But
make a right is what you're saying. 2 wrongs make a right in this case.
Well, no, I think that if I were an official, I would have called that, because you can't call that interference because there's nothing in the rule book. You can't call a penalty off of reviewing for another penalty. I believe there's something.
I didn't say to do that though. I said you rule that the call on the ice is overturned, no penalty.
No, and you can do that for those who are wondering. Yeah, you can either call the 4-minute or the 0. You can't call the 2 because there is blood, so it has to be either the 4 or the 0 for those.
Right. Okay. Right.
But again, for me, if I'm an official, even if there are 27 seconds left and the Habs have a chance to win it, that's a clear penalty. Again, even if Kane does get his stick up, for me, I would be calling that a 4-minute double minor. Unfortunately, again, I wouldn't like it, but it'd be like, hey, that's a penalty. That's got to be a call.
My response to that is, you've been watching hockey for 6 years. What do you know?
On the ice, I agree with Harry, just in the sense that if I'm on the ice and I see the stick up, it makes contact. My hand's going up.
Yes, I did.
But the fact that they went to review it and could clearly see that Evander Kane knocked Armia's stick into
and then dragged it along.
And didn't overturn it. Like, there's nothing Armia could do.
Like, nothing. What could he do? What could he do?
I don't know. I believe that the way the referees probably saw it is because Armia, the reason he has the stick about chest level is because he's trying to do what most people do when they dump the puck in and go around the player. He's trying to jump around him. They probably saw it. My guess would be they saw it as he's trying to jump over Kane gets in the way. Exactly. That's probably how I think
if his stick wasn't there, it wouldn't be a high stick. Bullshit.
I mean, like,
if Kane doesn't go through him like that, then there's no high sticking. So maybe you don't call Kane for interference, but you don't call the fucking high stick on this guy. You don't, especially not when the game is on the line.
I mean, then again, the game is on the line on every penalty, you could say, if the game is tied, whether it's 20 minutes.
27 seconds left going into overtime. No. Sorry.
I mean, at that point, that's like, I mean, but Rick, you got to think about the other way. What if the roles were reversed? What if it was the Habs that were benefiting off of this type of play?
I would enjoy it in the moment because I didn't see it, but now in seeing it, I would say that's still a bullshit call. Hey, I said it in the game when Montreal got away with something. I said, I'll take it, but they got away with something.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's all.
I'll admit that. So then you should be agreeing with me that was bullshit.
Well, no, I mean, I get both sides. I completely get that. Yeah, it's the final minute. The game is tied. Probably shouldn't be calling that. But I'm saying if I were an official and I see something like that and, okay, there's blood on the play, yeah, I'll call that. Upon the review, yeah, I probably would say, okay, well, is there a way that we can call Kane for interference along with the double minor? Because you'd have to, if you call one, you have to call the other.
It's not about calling Kane for interference. You can't call a high stick there. You can't.
Right. You just don't. You overturn the call. You don't call Kane.
If anything, you call Evander Kane.
No, you don't call Kane. Kane got away with something.
No, you call.
But you don't call the high stick.
Because
now that's two wrongs make a right. How does that work?
You just call. No, you overturn the penalty on our man. Call Evander Kane for the high stick.
No, you don't. You can't. There's no rule for that. I get that. So you don't. But you overturn the call. You overturn the call.
You can't look at that in review and go, "Oh, Armia actually really didn't do anything." Like you can't. I don't know how you continue with that call.
You can't jeopardize a game over something a guy didn't actually do.
Yeah.
When you had the chance to review it, you did review it, and then you walk away and go, "Yeah, that's good." It's not. I don't care who you are. And then don't tell me with the gambling and everything and the fact that's not what that's about. Don't tell me that. No way.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's about the gambling, honestly.
I said don't tell me that. Didn't I say that? I think I said that.
No, I just personally
You're
don't
allowed
think
your
it
opinion. You're allowed your opinion, even if it's the wrong one. You're allowed. You're allowed the wrong opinion. It's fine. It's not the end of the world, but it's the wrong opinion. But that's me. No, seriously, I don't understand how you could say that. I really don't. When you're presented with this is what actually happened. Oh, okay. They made the wrong call.
Again, it depends on which angle they were given. If they were given the angle that we were given, where it's the point blank shot, yeah, that should be overcalled.
No,
if
they
weren't
for some
given one from the side, exactly, because they're not given the ones that we
they
are given.
Well, sure they did. They saw what we saw. They're given even more angles than we see.
Exactly, that's what I mean. They're not given the angle that we see exactly. They're looking at the best possible angle. We're just getting the best one that.
No, they get multiple.
No, everything that they see, we see.
But they get multiple angles.
That's they do get more, but yeah,
they saw what we saw.
Well, they saw more than what we saw.
Like when you're watching, like, say for instance, a goalie interference review, and they're rewinding and fast forwarding the play on the TV. That's exactly what the refs are looking at on the little fucking iPad.
They're finding the right angle, and they're trying to figure it out. This one, not hard to figure out. It's why it didn't take long, but they knew what they were doing. There's no way you're going to tell me those two refs, or I think it was the two, looked at that, walked away, and they're both going to say, no, we believe that was a right call. Fuck you, you don't. Fuck you.
I mean, if they did, you know what?
You knew what the call was. In your ear, it said, this is the rule. And they didn't make that call. That came from somewhere else. Because there's no way, I don't care how bad the refs you are, I am not a good ref. And that was as clear as day. No way they both missed that on video review.
No, I mean, it's either what you're insinuating, Rick, or they looked at it, saw they fucked up, but then just decided, well, we don't want to deal with the rest of the hullabaloo that's going to come out of this, so we're just going to stick with the call, which is also agreed.
That's what I think it is, because I think that's actually worse than if they were rigging for gambling in terms of the reputation.
No, they're both bad. Just as
yeah,
bad.
they're both bad. I do think that the refs acknowledging that they were wrong, I think, is actually worse because, oh, well, hey, you called a 4-minute minor initially, but now you're saying it's 0 because you had to go to the video? Like, what's that thing about the refs? I think that is a little bit worse on the league as a whole, and I think it might have been that they were trying to take into consideration upon the video.
Next year, that thing, what they did, they're going to call it a high-sticking 4-minute, and then it's up to the coach of the team to say, challenge that. That's what they're voting on for next year. That's one of the rule changes.
From what I saw, it was on. I don't know. I didn't.
That's one of the rule changes. That's one of the rule changes. That's part of the. There's three things you're going to be able to. They want to change to a coach's challenge.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm fine with that. I mean, look, they do it in the NBA. You can challenge fouls.
No, that's
Yeah,
so
If you lose the challenge, you lose it. You lose. You can't challenge the rest of the game.
And the reason the coach didn't challenge is because they went to a video review.
Yeah,
they did. They said it's a forward, but video review. They're going to look at it, right? Coach didn't have to challenge it because for what? For them to look at it again and lie again.
No, and look, and if they're gonna make penalties challengeable, I think that it should be the same type of rules that govern how many challenges you get as the NBA. If you lose the challenge, that's it. You win the challenge, you get one more.
Yep, I think so.
It doesn't slow the game down a whole lot.
And I think what it should be is if you lose the challenge, you're on an extra penalty. I think that's what it should be. I think
that is what it is, and you only get the one. You don't get your second one.
Well, then perfect. I have no complaints about that whatsoever. I actually like that.
I dare say it. I'm sorry. If the refs are going to be this fucking bad, I give them their 2 challenges, whether they get them or not. You get 2, because these guys, it's a form of oversight, and these refs need to have somebody. They need oversight. There's no oversight on them. They get away with whatever they do, and there's no oversight. And then if you want to say, well, then they don't get to do playoff games. Oh, they don't. That's oversight. Look how bad the refing is.
Missing out on. That's huge if they don't get to call the playoffs.
And listen, the refing is so bad that the Toronto Maple Leafs think that they're the only ones that get the bad refs. That's how bad the refing is.
The Leafs haven't been shafted nearly as bad as we have the past few.
Well, we don't know.
2021 Cup run. Oh my God, that Vegas series.
We don't know if it's.
Oh my God.
We don't know if it's as bad or not.
How many times did we lose our mind on stream?
But it's not just them. There's a Leaf fan out there the other day that was saying like it's just them. They're the only ones that have to deal with this. Are you kidding me?
Go back to last year. Mike Matheson, he got a stick right in the head from Mikey Isemont. I think I sent it to you, Matt. I think even you can see it. It's like,
well, no, going back to that Vegas series in 2021, Nick Suzuki got punched in the fucking face. Right, the rest did.
Yeah, Chris
right
Lee.
in front of it. I'm like,
it was Chris Lee. So
I will let you an open challenge. I will box Chris Lee whenever he wants. I'm down for it. This is a fat dude, 293 pounds, who's got no type of training, and I will fight you, Chris Lee, whenever you want. And that is not a joke.
I will let you hit Chris Lee in the head with a baseball bat, and I will look right at it, and then I will look away and go, nothing to see here.
No, Rick, you got to call the penalty when he retaliates.
Disclaimer, we do not condone any violence.
Only if you get off the ice, I'm going to blow a whistle in 2 minutes for roughing.
Is Chris Lee still doing that?
Like losing my shit when I forget who punched Suzuki in the face, but I'm like, you're right there, you can't punch him in the fucking face.
Yeah, you can't. No. And then just the other day, who was it that wrestled him to the ground?
Oh, fuck.
Good on Suzuki for not. He just took it.
Shout out Slav coming in there as well.
And good on Slav, to come in there and rescue him. Yeah.
That would have been such a huge shot the gloves. It wasn't going to happen, but that would have been fucking cool.
If Jack-Eye was out there.
Oh, God.
He's lucky.
I mean, you know, but seriously, can you imagine doing something cheap like that to Suzuki? You turn around and slap, and Jack-Eye.
Yeah.
Mommy. You okay? You need water? You go back to Suzuki.
Uh-oh. This is gonna hurt.
And Florian jumps over to the boards because he don't give a shit. Because he don't give a shit.
If there's one guy that would do that, Florian would be the type of guy to jump over the boards to join a play in that type of matter. He would be that type of guy.
Yeah, that's why I say it. Seems to me like he might do that.
The only issue is that's what I'm like
turning around and going, uh-oh. This is gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt bad.
Yep. All right. Well, we talked that one out, I guess. Anybody want to? I'm kind of avoiding getting to the next topic, but we got to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
I do agree with you on the refs. And look, and I mean, I've seen examples of I mean, it's pretty clear as day that a game got fixed. And funny enough, the NCAA basketball tournament starts tomorrow. Because we're recording this on Wednesday. I mean, last year there were like 2 or 3 games where like there was one game a foul got called with 1/10 of a second left for no reason, and it fucked up the over-under of the game. And it was like, there's no other reason to call that foul unless you're
gambling, man. Is gambling.
No, like, and everyone came out was like, come on, like that was obvious.
Well, that's what I'm saying about this was that obvious because of how close it was to the end of the game. Sure, it wasn't a championship game or a tournament.
But at the same time, it wasn't a guarantee that the Oilers were going to win. It was very likely, but it wasn't a guarantee, though.
You shitting me? That power play? The fact
You are
like, oh my god, we might.
You are right, but if you take the odds were way in the favor of that.
Absolutely.
That's all they're playing on. But that's all they can play on. They can't do more than that. They can't take the puck, put it in the net, go goal. They can't do that.
I mean, technically, if they could call the goal.
All they can do is wait for an opportunity to present itself, and if there is one, jump on it and make a bad call. Mm-hmm. That's all they could do, and they did that.
I mean, and honestly, like the fact that we killed that penalty down to what was it, about roughly 30 seconds left when Draisaitl scored.
Less than that.
Pretty happy with the kill.
We were right near we were damn near killing that off. And
we should give credit to the penalty kill. They played a great game last night. They was it second best power play in the league. We killed off 5 of 6. If you want to include that double minor as the first 2 and the second 2, we killed 5 of 6. It was a great penalty kill, and you know what? I forget who if I don't know if Burroughs runs both power play and penalty kill or what, but whoever runs that penalty kill, they've been great lately.
No, that's the defensive coach. Now I can't remember. Sylvain. Something.
I was going to say Turgeon. I don't think it's Sylvain Turgeon.
No, but I don't think Robidas. Stefan Robidas.
Yeah, Stefan Robidas. Shout out to you. My hat's off to you, Stefan. You are running an incredible penalty kill recently, and please keep it up.
It's not that there's much difference in it. It's just that it's taken him this long to get it to where they want it to be, or getting there, and we're seeing that they've stepped up a little bit. Well, it's from working all year on that.
Uptick in aggression a little bit on the power play. Like last night, Jake Evans got his stick in the lane and did a couple of blocks.
From what I understand, it's just this is from the work they've been putting in on the PK in practice and everything. They're seeing some progression there.
No, without a doubt. And, I've said it since, like, the beginning of the year. Like, my biggest complaint about the power play was just there was no aggressiveness.
Yep.
And again, you can't be too aggressive on a penalty kill, but I'm like,
you also can't be too submissive on a power play.
You can't just stand there and let him pass the puck. Like, if you got a lane, boop, boop.
Yep.
Like, Evans did that very well last night. Who else had a couple? Was it Savard and Matheson?
Armia was good.
Armia was
incredible.
In my eyes, I've never had an issue with him killing penalties.
Who? Who did you
say?
Armia.
Yeah, Armia's. He's an elite PK.
I think Jake Evans is a fine penalty killer. I've never had an issue.
Jake Evans was good
Evans on the penalty kill.
Their energy was the big thing last night. They came out with energy and pace, and that's why they were able to keep up with them. And they played a complete game. In my eyes, it wasn't overly exciting. Like there were moments in the first 2 periods, but the pace was always there. And then they just dominated in the third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They dominated them in the third.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a great game for us. It was a great game.
Yeah, I mean and I don't understand people who look at that and go, yeah, they lost. But you don't see the progression. Nah, they lost.
Exactly. We almost beat the Oilers.
I mean, I'm sorry if you can't see the progression with this team from last year to this year, and even like I've picked out the season. I don't know what fucking team you're watching. Either you're not watching the games or you just don't understand hockey.
You don't understand hockey.
It doesn't make sense to me
You
because
don't understand hockey.
I look at a
You're
guy
watching-
like Slavkovsky, and I mean, it's like a complete 180. Like, it's night and day.
Absolutely.
And you look at Suzuki, he's probably hitting 70, 75 points this season.
Yep. Even
Obviously,
Jack
he's going to hit 60 points. Like
the I don't know if it was the third period or what period, but the goals expected share of line one over their line one. What Suzuki's line had 73% or 73, which is like amazing. That's amazing.
No, it is.
So
it's really
line
good.
one is a dominating line, and they're only going to
without a
get
doubt.
better.
Without a doubt.
And when they have an option behind them, that makes other teams have to go, wait, we also have that guy coming out next. They're
Imagine when
that much better. You know, when Doc is
Imagine
there next
when-
year.
What I'm saying,
when
Doc
next
and
year-
Newhook and where else is on
Newhook.
that second line? I mean, having a guy like Lane Hudson on the back end.
Yeah, this
I mean,
team is
I'm
going to get better.
going to say it right now. The power play is going to be way better next season.
Power
Just
play,
for
the
Lane Hudson on the back
PK,
end alone.
and the PK is going to be great. I mean, this is going to be a complete team. Are they going to be
And
the best team in the league? I think at some points they will be. And at some points they'll be a top 3 team and a top 5, but they'll be up there competing.
When they're in their
every year.
prime, by the way, we should point this out. When they're in their prime, I don't think next year you mean they're going to be the best team in the league.
In 2-3 years, they're going to start to be that team, and that should carry for a good. They probably can do that for like 8 years.
Right? Yeah. I mean,
Be
I'm
up there.
thinking probably a decade with the ages of these young guys.
Well, 8 years like that, and then they start to tail off, and that's the cycle that you go through.
But even then, like after 8 years, they couldn't. I mean, with the
could
ages
rebuild.
of some of these guys, they could do like a quick little retool.
Yeah, they could be at the top of their game. Literally, they could be making the playoffs for 20 years in a row. We see teams doing that, right?
Yeah, Red Wings.
Yeah, a lot of teams. Habs did it for many. I mean, Bruins. I mean, yeah. So they're going to be good enough to be that, I think. With the management, if management is able to keep doing what they're doing, this is going to be a good team. And if you don't see the potential in that already, I don't know.
Oh, I mean, without a doubt.
If you're just looking at wins and losses,
I mean, that's it. Like, I'm fine with the growing pains that we're seeing. Like, yeah, it's just part of it. But man, when this team is good, it's gonna be really good.
Right. And every year it's better. Every year we're better. Every year we're better. And we're almost. It's only 2 years into a rebuild, and we're already saying next year could be the playoffs. If this team is healthy, this team can hit the playoffs. As a wild card,
Doc, man, holy shit!
That's going to be the key.
I mean, we saw it after the first game, dude. If he didn't get hurt, he was great. This was his great. This was all right. He's taking the league.
Yeah, that's the one big thing hurdle we got to get over is that he doesn't get hurt. But if we're healthy, this is going to be a very competitive team.
I think we're absolutely a wild card team next year if we're healthy.
We're fighting for one to I don't know what to either all the way or we're fall off at some point, but we're fighting for. I think so. They make a progression next season into a team that we don't know we're going to make the playoffs, but we might. And then the next year, based on those results, they'll know, and that's when you'll see a UFA or something. That's when you'll see.
Or like a trade, maybe, where they go out and get like an established guy.
When they know this is a year where we should, not could, might, but we should be a playoff team.
Yep.
Right. I think it's honestly, I think that 3-year deal for Montembeault kind of basically set that tone, because I think 3 years time we're definitely a playoff team.
3 years, yeah. Oh, with 3 years.
And Fowler's going to be here, so at that point you're like, all right, Fowler, go warm up in the AHL. If he wows, him and Primo are the tandem, and then the sky's the limit from there. Like it's lining up to be like that 3rd year mark is going to be all right.
It's trending that way. Things can get in the way of that, but I mean, it's trending that way without a doubt.
No, absolutely.
But I mean, I just think this. I don't see how people don't see it. There's a lot of people that just read headlines or see scores, see stats, and they just decide off that without actually seeing the play. Because you can't watch these. You can't watch the games and say, yeah, that was when they lost. Really? They competed. I mean, the compete level is even better.
Yep.
Last year was getting good. This year it's like
Yep.
crazy good. 39 one-goal games. 39
Yes.
one-goal games.
Exactly.
That's another
And-
thing that shows you that they're progressing.
What is it? 12 overtime and shootout losses as well. Imagine if you win every single one of those. We're right in there for the playoffs.
Yeah. Win 10 of those, win 8 of those. We're fighting for a wild card spot. Yeah.
And imagine if Doc isn't hurt, how much better we are then.
Yeah, so you can see next year where there's hope that they can be that, but you still can't be assured of it.
No.
But the year after that is totally different, you know?
Right. No, look, like I said, man, Doc can stay healthy. I mean, that second line, you put a winger on there that can have good chemistry with Doc and Newhook. That's a fucking
Joshua. I think that's what's going to be it. Depending on what the draft brings.
Right. I mean, obviously, if we win the draft lottery and get back on Celebrini, well, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, obviously. Then Doc goes to right wing and Newhook's your left winger.
But yeah, I mean, from what I'm reading,
but I wouldn't mind Joshua on that second line. That'd be two dynamite lines. Like I said, Wayne Hudson's going to be on the back end, so
yeah, no, he's proven that
power play is going to be improved instantly like that. I don't know how much, but it'll be better. And you're going to see guys, Slafkovsky, like their point. I guarantee you they're going to get more points next year than this year, solely because he's going to be on the team. He's going to be able to find those passing lanes. They're going to score more on the power play. Like, it's just what Lane Hudson does.
And it won't surprise me if our power play next year is in the top 16 in the league. It won't surprise me if that happens.
Yeah. We'll be a good power play next year.
Absolutely.
Instead of being kind of, we're on the bottom third.
Yeah.
We'll be in the middle of the pack.
Lane Hudson's also a finalist for the whole
It'll get to the middle of the pack the year after. it'll rise over the next 2-3 years, I believe, because of the the kids coming in, and then they get better, and then in 3 years, maybe 4, we're a legit contender. If not before, but I mean, I think you can pretty much, if things go the way they are trending right now, we're a contender in 3-4 years.
No, I think so. But like I said, should the miraculous happen and we win the draft lottery and get Celebrini, I think you can. That's you probably knock a year off that, maybe even.
Yeah.
If we win the draft lottery and get Celebrini, then I think we're fighting for a wild card spot next year, like without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, the only unknown is, he'd be his first year. You don't 100% know,
right?
I think he'd be third line center if he makes the NHL next year.
Yeah, I don't think he starts as top center. No. That's an issue, right? If we get Celebrini, now you got 3 really, top 6 centers. That's a tough.
Well, I think that'd be the solution. You move Doc to the right wing, and you can play a Newhook third line center, or Walls up on the second line.
The problem with that for me is Doc he's a center. He's a power.
I mean, Celebrini, I think, can also play the wing, so you could probably work with that.
I get it, but I think I still think you're wasting him on the wing.
And look, like Macklin Celebrini's played all 3 forward positions with BU, right. So if they really wanted to, he'd play the wing.
They break him in on the wing for the first year or two, and then see from there. I think but we're not going to win that. I mean, I wouldn't look at it and go, "Yeah, we could," and get excited about that.
I mean, to be fair, we did win the year. We did finish first overall. We didn't follow that.
That's what I'm saying. Unless we win it, I'm not getting excited about that.
No, me neither.
That's what I mean.
Well, you never know. Art and Barry could pull some strings up there.
You never know. And if it happens, I'm going to love it if it happens, but I'm not going to get
even if we get second overall, if you're diving it up, I'm completely fine with that. I will take.
Yeah, because that's the point. Where they're going to finish, and with the defense that are going to get picked in that top part there, we're going to get a really good offensive forward. And that's
whether it's Jimmy Dolph again, Reiseman.
Yeah.
We're gonna be good. As long as we don't pick Berkeley Cotton and that fucking Zane Perrick, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna listen. I don't think there's any reason why they would need to go for a defenseman.
No, there's
The
not.
only way
why,
they do.
Why?
The only way they do is if at 7th overall, if say we draft 7th, if Anton Silyev is still there. That is the only way I think you go with him.
I think okay, but I think that's where Kent Hughes kind of left himself open, where he said that that's why he talked about drafting for need.
Yeah.
Because the need is that forward guy.
Yeah.
And maybe that guy you're talking about is there, but probably it's very
Yeah,
unlikely.
there's a 0% chance that a 6'7", 18-year-old defenseman
He's
falls
not.
past. There's 0% chance it happens.
Just as much
Unless
chance
it's
that
somehow
Celebrini.
attitude.
There's just as much chance that Celebrini is there as well. I mean, there's just
Exactly, yeah.
chance. It's not happening.
Exactly.
So.
We'll probably get again one of Demidov or Ginla or again maybe Cole Eiserman. I'd be completely fine with him. The issue is that he's also a center. Whereas
I think we get
more of the wing.
I think we get. I think we get Demidov or Ginla, like you say.
I'll be completely fine with
bring
that.
it to you next year. I can tell you that much because he ain't playing fucking center.
Ginla is really working himself up the list.
I like. I'm a big Tej Ginla guy. I like Tej.
Yeah.
And you know what? Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to get like the Domies and actually have something actually work out there. Unlike with that fucking piece of shit Max, we can get Jerome Ginla in a Habs jersey somehow. Maybe we can do that.
Well, I think if we draft Ty Ginla, at some point he's gonna be part of the Habs family because of that.
Oh
yeah.
Well, no, but I mean like something like they did with Max and Ty, where they did the skills. I think you're gonna.
Where'd you get the center from?
For sure, they're gonna do that. What?
Cole Eiserman.
I don't know. It's because like for some reason all the top like 4 forwards are all centers. I thought. I guess Eiserman being a winger, I'm completely fine with that. I'm happy about that actually.
I don't think they care if he's a center or a winger.
Yeah, he's a left wing and he's a goal scorer.
Yeah, if they're looking
for essentially what we're going to have is basically 2 of the same lines, except on the second line, Cole Eiserman will be Cole Caulfield, and like Doc
Cole Hudson
center, and then like New Hook and Suze will be the same person.
Cole Hudson. Oh no.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a free agent though. We'd have to, right?
No, is he the one or is he the one in the draft?
You might have to sign.
Quinn is the older one?
But Cole Eiserman is basically the same player. Cole Eiserman is more that pure goal scorer. Like the playmaking's not really there, but they're basically the same.
Well, then again, was the playmaking there with Cole when we drafted him?
And Cole Eiserman's going to BU, so he's going to develop well. I think if Cole Eiserman's there, my gut tells me that he's probably the pick.
They'll take the best player available.
Absolutely.
That fits their character mold.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And by all accounts, and look, Cole Eiserman grew up in Newburyport. Great kid. Really great kid.
I would think again was pretty good character.
Ginla's a good kid too. I'm just like Alex's girlfriend's family. They know his family. Because they own a pizza. Not Cole Eiserman's family, but Alex's girlfriend's family own a pizza shop in Newburyport. So they know of the kid. Like they met him. Like he's a good kid. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, I get that, but I mean, Ginla has the pedigree going for him.
No, he does.
Exactly.
There's a lot. Like he knows what it's like to be an NHLer. He hung around.
No, I'm fine with either. I to me with the history of where Kent Hughes has kind of drafted guys, and the fact that he does have this connection to Hockey East guys and in the East Coast, it wouldn't shock me if Cole Eiserman ends up being the pick if he's there.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me either.
And I'd be fine with that. Cole Eiserman's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm good with it, but I'm just saying I had this gut feeling about Ginla.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I feel the same way. I think it's going to be Cole Eiserman or Tej Ginla.
Yeah. All right. We've been avoiding this topic. We're getting to the time where we better tackle this. Sad news in the NHL world on was it the 18th, Harry?
Yes, I believe so.
Yesterday or the 18th? yesterday, right?
Well,
I
I think
believe
was
it
it
was
yesterday the news came out, but I think the 18th is
yeah, it
when
was the 18th. Yeah.
he passed away.
Okay, so Monday, which was the 18th, Chris Simon and Konstantin Koltsov died. I'm just going to say died. We'll start with that. And for various, I think for different reasons that we'll get into, probably I'm not the right one to bring this up, but Chris Simon was a tough guy. A lot of fighting, a good hockey player, but a tough guy. Took a lot of shots to the head.
Mm-hmm. And by all accounts, too, a really good guy, too. Like off the ice, really, really good guy.
Most tough guys are actually, most tough guys.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a question of CTE, obviously. Konstantin Koltsov, I think different, younger. And Simon was 52, Koltsov was 42. So, and probably more pressure, mental health issues there. And I don't know this for sure. I'm kind of guessing, but so I don't even know where to go. But you guys know a little bit more about this than me. One of you guys take over.
Yeah, I mean it's. I was really saddened to hear about Chris Simon. I didn't know about Constantine until right before we recorded this. I had no idea about that, but very sad to hear that too. But I want to kind of focus more on Chris Simon because this is, and this was confirmed. His family released a statement, but he died by suicide, more than likely attributed to CTE. And from what it sounds like, he had been like off, kind of like having kind of the symptoms that something was going on for a while. And, unfortunately, as we've seen, not just in the NHL, you can think of guys like Steve Montador and other players we've lost far too young, but even in the NFL, this just happens, unfortunately, tragically, to be how CTE affects those players. And I think it's idiotic and fireable that the NHL still, and even said today, vice commissioner, whatever, the assistant commissioner said that the science is still lacking on repeated blows to the head and CTE, and I just, either they think that us as hockey fans are really dumb, or they do. Because I've never heard a more idiotic statement, and I think it's absolutely unacceptable that the NHL is still the only professional league in the world that hasn't acknowledged the link between head trauma and CTE. And, until that happens, I just, nothing is going to be set up to help these former players kind of deal with this and live healthy, healthy as far as, healthy as they can and good lives after they retire. Because again, it's just a cycle, unfortunately, with CTE, and it really burns me because, it's just something that at this point it's beyond idiotic that the NHL still refuses to acknowledge this. Like, I don't like how many more people are going to have to die before they acknowledge that this is a problem and steps need to be taken to help these guys when they retire. And I don't know when that'll be. I hope it's soon, but it also got me thinking about a guy like Matt Rempe, who's only 21, 22, who is getting a reputation as a goon. He fights damn near every game. He's headhunted a few players, already got suspended once, and it's like, people celebrate that, and even his behavior, he thinks he's, Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Cool, and I just look at it and I go, dude, you're throwing your life away if you keep playing like this, because it's not cool. You have no idea the damage you're doing, especially at your age where your brain's still not fully developed, and it's just something that burns me because I hate seeing anybody die that young. I mean, the 50s are so young, and Chris Simon had so many more years ahead of him. It's sad, and I don't want to see a player like Matt Rempe have that happen to them. Like it doesn't make sense to me. It's stupid, and until the league wakes up, I don't know when it'll end. Rick, I think you're muted. There you go.
There you go. Harry, what do you guys say?
I think Matt really covered it all. Honestly, yeah. I mean, the fact that the NHL is the only place in professional sports that hasn't really acknowledged the link between the head trauma and CTE, I think is disgusting. And it's something that should have been done a long time ago, especially after guys like Derek Bugard and Steve Monador also died.
Other names too that I just don't remember their names, but
Pro
players who I think were only 28 years old, 29 years old, and it's like, come on. Yeah. And I mean, again, in the NFL, I think of guys like Junior Seau and other players that
what Antonio Brown's going through right now.
Committed suicide, but you could tell stuff wasn't right, and even
with Antonio Brown, you can tell that
maybe there was a
tragic Antonio Brown, he was wacky.
I mean, Antonio Brown, ever since he got hit by Vontaze Burfict, totally changed.
That's sad.
Yeah, and yeah, I Matt, like you said, I couldn't agree more about the head trauma and CTE. I think the NHL needs to acknowledge it. I feel like that they're really not, and I believe there was a lawsuit that was filed by a lot of former NHLers over CTE or head trauma or something like that they didn't, that the NHL lost, I believe it was, and they had to pay residuals, or it's still ongoing, something like that.
I mean, just the audacity that Bill Daly had to come out and say the science was lacking.
Yeah,
not even 24 hours after we heard the news of Chris Simon's passing. It just
yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, even from come on, don't be an idiot. Like, just ridiculous.
Yeah, they're evil. The management, the NHL's management,
and as well with
CTE.
Yeah, and as well with a guy like Konstantin Koltsov, we don't know exactly what it is yet. We do know that it is an apparent suicide, as in terms of what happened. We don't know exactly what it is, whether it's CTE, whether it's mental health. I know he was I believe a coach for a team that was overseas. He was in Miami with, I don't know exactly what happened, but I know he was in Miami when it happened. Whether if it is mental health, everybody said it. We're gonna say it as well. If you're struggling with any mental health, I don't want to say issues, but if you're struggling with your mental health, reach out to somebody. There's always going to be someone there that's willing to help, whether it's a family member, a friend, someone that you feel.
There's a hotline too, I think.
There's hotline.
Yeah, there's a hotline in every single country.
Great services too, where you can, get paired with a therapist. Like, take advantage of that stuff. And I do really like the NHL Player Assistance Program. I think we can all agree that they've done a lot of really good work with a lot of players. But again, that's just one step in the right direction, and again, this is more so talking about CTE, where, again, like, steps need, like, enough's enough. Acknowledge the link. We all know it's there.
Right.
And try to create programs or something to help these players, because I don't want to see former hockey players dying in their 50s anymore.
The owners make enough goddamn money off of these players that they should put some of it back into helping them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like, these guys are human beings. You can't, like...
The owners? No, I don't know if they are.
No, the players.
Okay.
And, they're giving... their bodies, their unfortunately lives to this sport, and they retire, and you just kind of forget about them, and it's not okay.
Because they don't all make that kind of incredible money that they can afford whatever. A lot of them don't make that kind of money, didn't make that kind of money, and need help after they've retired.
Right. And even like Harry said too, I mean, even the CTE aspect of it. Like Chris Simon's family released a statement and had said that, you know, he was definitely experiencing symptoms. Like he had been off for a while. He wasn't acting like himself, and obviously experienced depression, anxiety, stuff like that. And it's all, I mean, all CTE related. I mean, it's a unfortunate telltale case of
it's happening.
Probably had pretty bad CTE, and the NHL did nothing about it because they still don't think that repetitive head trauma causes brain injury.
Yeah,
even though that's where the brain lives.
Yeah, because how could getting hit in the head like that over and over and over again in your career do anything to your brain? I mean, come on.
And it's not just concussions, right? It's these enforcers, these guys that fight a lot. Every single one of those punches they take in the face does damage.
Every check
doing that every night, like what enforcers used to do, or
those big
kind of
heavy.
What Matt Rempe is trying to do. It's
those what they call open ice hits. Those are hard. When you see a guy just get pulverized against the boards, those are hard on the brain. All those kind of things. So they're in a sport that is like football. Football, almost every snap of the ball, everybody's pretty much getting hit. Hard.
I mean, look at the game of soccer, even right. Every time a player heads the soccer ball, and I don't know if you guys have ever
headed a
soccer ball. I have. Doesn't tickle.
No, that's true. Just something like that. You think a soccer ball? Yeah. It's a knock to the head that makes the brain move and bang against the wall.
And I know in a lot of youth leagues, they don't really even teach heading because of that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You know, you'll learn it as you get older, but like they try to stay away from that until you're like in,
your brain's developed.
Teenager, yeah, because of that.
Which when you think about it, there's the
brain's not fully developed till you're about 25, 26.
There's that controversy about hitting for the younger players, right? So they're like, it even makes it more important to teach younger players how to get hit and absorb a hit properly than ever before, because when you do that, you lessen at least the chance of doing any kind of major damage from it, right? So it's very important to teach players to get hit as much, if not more, than how to hit. Actually, just as important. Hit properly, absorb it properly, you got a better chance.
And a lot of it's just about surface area. You know, the more surface area that you can absorb the hit with, the more it's going to dissipate that energy.
Which is why how they're not totally out like bad. Anything that hits the head should be penalized. Whether it starts on the chest but rides up and hits the head, that's a head hit. In my opinion, that's a head hit. And it should be like that.
I mean, and I use Matt Rempe again because it's just a recent example. I mean, how many times has he started like this?
Right.
And then I'll chuck out the chicken wing at the end and catch the guy in the head. That's what he just got suspended for. He did it once.
That's why I don't care.
Twice. Earlier, too, didn't get suspended, but he got match penalties.
I don't care the argument about, well, there's the size difference. Yes, so even more so that guy should
need to learn how to hit. I mean, Zdeno Chara adapted to his size and learned how to hit properly.
Be responsible. It shouldn't really be on the league to say, well, we got to make different rules. It should be taught to a guy who's that fucking big how to hit properly and be conscientious about the damage he does.
Yeah,
it's one of my biggest pet peeves with all the players that cheap shot like that. It's like, what are you thinking? I don't understand the thought process of let's try to kill everybody, but I don't want to get hit, but I'm going to cause damage to people. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, look, I agree, and again too, and you know, when we talk about fighting in the NHL too, and I'm not for banning it. I think it does need to be there, but
yeah, I do too.
You look at, I look at a guy like Arbor Jackeye. He fights, yes, but he only fights when it's necessary. He's not going to fight to fight. He's not going to go out every game,
right? Just to
try to fight
for the fans,
right? the way that Matt Rempe is starting to kind of act, the way he's starting to kind of play the game on the ice.
He's a hothead.
He's starting to kind of be that type of player who's going to try to drop the gloves every night.
He's a showboat.
And
with him, it's fighting.
Again, I think fighting should be in the league, but
yeah, like the way Jack Guy does it. The way
you go out and you fight every night like that.
The way Jack Guy does it.
Like
so everybody that's listening that wants to see Jack Guy fight and then disappointed that he doesn't, this is the reason. If you overuse it, you increase your chance to get CTE.
Right.
So that's something you got to be conscious of. So you can't fight recklessly like that.
No, and
those days are over. That stage fight where you know the two goons are going at it, that's got to be over. Can't do that.
Well, I mean, Matt Rempe is starting to bring it back.
But we're talking against that, right? You can't do that.
No, and I'm against that sort of thing. Like if you again, I look at it an Arbor Jack guy and I go, he'll fight, but he'll fight if he sees someone cheap shot his teammate or start roughhousing a teammate of his,
right.
Which is when you should be fighting.
Fighting with a purpose.
Not just go on the ice and go, hey, let's have a fight and use until his head as a speed bag.
Even just to to get your team going, that's questionable now because of the damage that it causes. You got to be careful with it. You want fighting to stay in the game. We all do. It's got to be, in the right context.
There's a time and a place for it. And like I said, I think Arbor Jacka exemplifies that perfectly.
Yeah, I think the way he does it right now and quickly got to being that is the right way to do it.
Right. And,
as disappointed as I was that he didn't fight Reeves, and he could have forced it. That wasn't
Arbor's fault. That was really
but he could have forced it because they did have one shift together, and he tried to get Reeves to go, but he didn't jump him. He didn't force it, and that's the right way.
That's not how he.
If he wanted to go, sure, you go because of the last time. But if not, then you let it ride, and you can't be upset about that.
No, I agree. 100% agree.
By the way, speaking of Reeves, because let's move on to this. Did you see the fight with Delorier?
Oh yeah, Delorier beat the crap out of him.
Did you see that how girlish Reeves's punches were?
Yeah.
Did he not look like he was throwing them like almost slapping
Delorier's
him?
doing this, and then he caught him like a couple times.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think Reeves landed a punch actually.
No, I think Delorier was just going like this, waiting for him to get tired, and then.
Yeah, and Reeves just throwing, but just the most awkward. Did you see it, Harry?
No, but I knew Delorier beat the shit out of him because I thought, Delorier and Reeves? Yeah, Delorier probably won.
Yeah, and then did you see Biz on Spittin' Chicklets saying Reeves a beast? Beast over that fight? Are you kidding me? I'd be embarrassed to say that's our fighter.
I mean, I would have been embarrassed on that first game of the season when Arbor Jacka picked him up like this, threw him into the net.
And then I caught that moment where he went, no, don't hit me. I'm telling you, Arbor Jacka broke him completely. He was already
1,000%
on the way, and Arbor just broke him, I think. Because that was a very shameful. Like, if you're a Leafs fan and you're going, look at Reeves, look at he took on Delorier. Really? You're proud of that? Okay, really. And that's how far the Leafs are going to get in the playoffs. That's an example of it. They're nothing. They're nothing.
Yeah, they lost to the Flyers last night.
This is a team that's going to get their asses kicked in round one because it's more than likely they're facing the Bruins.
They're playing Florida or Boston. Either of those teams will beat the shit out of them up and down the
right. They haven't got a
There's
chance
no shot to
in
get
hell.
down to the first round.
I don't see a chance in hell against either of those two teams.
No, there's no way.
Chance in hell.
Both those teams are way too physical.
So it's going to be – I hope it's the Bruins because then we'll definitely cover that on Don't Puck with Media and probably here. And probably here – no, actually, this is only going to be on Don't Puck with Media. So I should have said – we'll probably cover that here, and we'll maybe do switch, but we might end up doing more games on Talking Habs because I don't know how many here everybody's going to be able to do.
Right.
So, but we're going to cover that
Oh, yeah.
without a doubt.
I want to cover them again if they play Florida too.
Yeah. The first round.
Either of those two teams will beat the shit out of them.
I'm covering Toronto first round of the playoffs once it's over, like I did last year and the year before. I'm doing that because I just love seeing them get beat in the playoffs. All right. On that note, we are out of time. All right. We got anybody got anything to add at the end here? What's
real quick?
Yeah.
Real quick, I just want to say our thoughts are with Marty St. Louis, the Canadiens head coach, who took off for personal matters. Everyone's thoughts are with them. Hopefully everything's okay. We don't know exactly what it is. We do have a potential on what it is. I'm not going to say it here, but our thoughts are with Coach Marty. We hope everything's all right. And
well, we know it's his family. We know basically something about his son. We don't know, and speculating is kind of stupid because you can easily make the wrong guess. I'll just say this: I heard from a source that I cannot name. Is good potential Marty could be back next week behind the bench. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just going to say I got told by somebody that, it could be accurate. And I'm hoping for that everything is that good and that positive that he's able to get back that quickly. And it's not as serious as it seems that it could possibly be because we don't know anything. We really don't. So all the best to the St. Louis family.
Absolutely.
In this, in whatever is going on.
Absolutely.
All right. On that note, we're going to say goodbye. We'll be back next week for the video. If you want to listen to this audio, it is on Spotify. There is a link in the description. Obviously not for this episode, but for the Spotify channel. And you just click on that and you'll see the episode there. It's not going to be hard to get to it. And you can listen to that there. You can listen to any of the other ones there, and we will be doing these video every week as well. So next week, we may have a special guest. We may not. I don't think we have anybody booked, but you never know. We'll be back for episode 19. This was already episode 18. And hopefully there'll be, lots of good stuff to talk about. And there usually is. And if you want to get in touch with us at talkinghabs@gmx.com, that is in the description as well. You can reach us on Twitter. All our addresses and all that stuff is down there. And that's it. I don't know what else to say. Last second, anything, guys? That's a no. Till next time, stay safe out there. Peace out, everybody. And we hope you have a great week. And we'll speak to you next week. Ciao, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Rest in peace, Chris Simon.
Rest in peace, Chris Simon, and Konstantin Koltsov as well.
Absolutely.